Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome tonight. We're here at Ford Latino and with our National President of Ford Latino, Darryl Morin. Tonight will be an excellent night to discuss the American Rescue Plan. We have a number of slides that we want to show up front to let you know who Ford Latino is. We are a national organization. We are in many states across the country. Here we have the slides. Ford Latino is a nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy and service organization dedicated to assisting Latinos pursuing the American dream. Ford Latino fulfills its mission through advocacy, civic engagement, education, and service delivery. Representation, our headquarters is in Franklin, Wisconsin. Members in Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and of course, Wisconsin. Advocacy. Our advocacy is on issues approved by the board of directors. Our focus areas are civil rights, which includes voting rights, fighting hate crimes and workplace protection, for fighting for workplace protections. We also focus on education, specifically equity and affordability, immigration, another issue, CIR, DACA, DAPA, and TPS. On social justice, fighting for police reform, fighting against use of force, and on COVID-19, the OSHA emergency rule, relief and equity in vaccine distribution. Our focus areas, gun violence and prevention, fighting gun violence and prevention, wealth development, small business, workforce training and home ownership assistance, LGBTQ, fighting the ban in the military, Equity Act, climate change, Paris Agreement, responsible regulation. Also, leadership development program, high academic achievement, pride in self and culture, community service, leadership training, multicultural awareness.
Yeah, and Joe, I want to thank you so much for bringing that up because really developing our youth to be the best citizens of our nation they can be, to be the best advocates they could be, is just so important to all of us. And so Joe, obviously our National Vice President at Ford Latino, I want to thank you for all your efforts. I want you for hosting us and the rest of the leadership team last week in Iowa, where we met with senior staff from the governor's office, met with members of the media, other policymakers, et cetera. So thank you so much for hosting us, Joe. Greatly appreciated. Everyone, as Joe stated, my name is Darryl Morin. I'm National President of Ford Latino, and I want to thank you for taking time out tonight. You know, I think we're all a little tired of hearing about COVID-19 and the pandemic as it's been bombarding us for over a year now. That being said, there's so much pertinent information that members of our community need to be aware of, to make sure that their families are taken care of, to make sure that the doors on their businesses stay open, that their school get the resources they need, et cetera. So when the White House reached out to us and asked to share this information, of course we said yes. And we're very appreciative to them for doing so. So today we are going to do brief, because it's such a large bill, but we are going to talk briefly about the American Rescue Plan, what it's going to do for our country, what it's going to do more importantly for you and our community as well. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to hit the little raise your hand option there at the bottom and we'll try to get to your question. If not, always feel free to email us at update@fordlatino.org and we'll be sure to get right back to you. So as I mentioned before, we take part in weekly and bi-weekly meetings with administration officials, whether it be community engagement, Latino engagement, housing and urban development, business development, et cetera. We get invited to a number of these where we're privy to and have input on a number of different policies being implemented by this administration. But today we're gonna focus on the American Rescue Plan, which, as we all, most of us know it by its moniker, you know, the COVID relief bill that recently got passed by Congress. I think everybody knows that there was the $1,400 stimulus checks that got mailed out to everyone that was eligible. But what most people don't know is that there's accompanying tax credits that were specifically included to reduce child poverty, measures that were taken to lower healthcare costs, funding our schools so that they can not just reopen, but reopen safely. Emergency measures implemented beyond PPP to help fund and keep the doors open at our small businesses until we are fully reopened. Obviously, I think we're all aware of the vaccine distribution efforts and more. So we're going to touch upon these and more over the next 30 minutes. So I'm going to be sharing some information just initially here that we received from the White House in Wisconsin. However, if you're in Iowa, if you're in Michigan, if you're in Texas, if you're in California, Colorado, whatever state, and you would like to break down for your state, just email us at updateitforwardlatino.org, and we will go ahead and forward how COVID-19 has impacted your state. We're once again, very fortunate to be privy and have access to all of these resources. So here in Wisconsin, we have over 600,000 who are infected. And so far, the American Rescue Plan has provided $2.68 billion in state fiscal relief and $2.1 billion in local fiscal relief. So all those things, all those extra hours by first responders, all the personal protection equipment, et cetera, finally, the municipalities, the counties, and the states are receiving some kind of reimbursement for all these efforts, and as well as receiving resources to assist moving forward. We've seen the expansion of unemployment benefits through September 1st, reduced health care. We've seen the tax credits be implemented, et cetera. But I'm going to just jump through this really quick because I really want to make sure we spend the majority of our time talking about our community in general. So as we all know, our community was disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. We are 18% of the national population here, yet we represented 20% of infections. Even worse, we represented 38% of the deaths from the virus. That's quite telling, and that's following the information released by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or we typically call it by its acronym, the CDC. We know that Latinos, and this was just published by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, Latinos have faced a higher than average rate of unemployment, and we know that we've been disproportionately impacted, not just regarding employment, but with regards to challenges presented by the pandemic when it comes to access to food, housing, healthcare, and other essential services. And that was per the Center for Budget and Policy Priorities. Excuse me. So what does the American Rescue Plan do? Where's it pumping in dollars? Where's it helping our community? Well, the American Rescue Plan is investing over $160 billion to provide supplies, emergency response, testing, vaccine to all the states. And now we've seen that over 250 million shots of the vaccine have gone into arms. And I will take a brief little moment out here, a personal privilege to say, if you have any questions with regards to the effectiveness or the safety of the vaccine, please feel free to give us a call and we can share all the information that you need, because it's really important that our community, after having suffered so many deaths due to this virus, that we're all knowledgeable on the vaccine and that we all get vaccinated. And you could reach us day or night at 833-LATINO, and that's with an O on the end, not a zero, and then the number 1. Once again, 833-LATINO-1, and we'll share that information with you. But once again, we've seen this money get invested to get supplies out. In fact, some of this money is going out to actually fund some of our first responders to help make up for all the deficits that have been incurred by the municipalities, the counties, and the states to date. It provides another $130 billion so that our schools can implement a safe air quality filtration systems, and that they can get the tools and the other equipment they need to reopen the schools and to keep our teachers and our students safe. We're all aware of the $1,400 per person checks that went out or got automatically deposited into your checking account. We most are aware that the American Rescue Plan also put in 300, and there should be 1 million after that, right? Or added 300 to current unemployment benefits through September 6th, just to make sure that everybody got that little extra assistance until that period of time where the majority of the nation was vaccinated and could reopen. There's also hundreds of millions and billions of dollars actually to assist people who are behind on their rent, behind on their mortgages or utility bills. So if you got your check, but you're still having a hard time with your house payment, with your rent, or you're behind on utilities, email us or call us. Once again, update at forwardlatino.org or 833-LATINO-1, and we will get you in contact with the appropriate department so that you can get access to those funds. Now, I'm talking about the federal programs. We'll also go into here shortly that the states have received hundreds of billions of dollars as well, and they're also running complementary programs that you may be eligible there as well. Okay, we've all seen the pictures on the news of the huge lines with people waiting in cars to get food. We know that food insecurity has become a huge issue, particularly in our community, as we know from all the studies. So the American Rescue Plan went ahead and invested even more dollars in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as SNAP, right? So they put in another additional 15%, and they've extended that period of time as well. Now, here's some things you need to be aware of. May 17th is the filing deadline with IRS for your 2020 taxes. It got extended due to the pandemic. So if you don't include these, there's a chance that you're not going to get them. So you want to make sure they're included. If you've already filed, you want to make sure that you go back and you request these as well. So they've increased the child tax credit from $2,000 to $3,000 per child, right? And if you have a child in your household that you're responsible for, that's under the age of 6, it's $3,600, right? And they're now allowing for this year only for you to actually take that child tax credit for a 17-year-old who's living in your household. Once again, it's just for this year. So for that, if you have a 17-year-old, you just picked up $2,000 to $3,000, right, off of your taxes here that will either cut the taxes you owe or will come back to you in the form of a refund as long as you owed more than that total amount. So this one child tax credit alone is going to help 66 million families throughout our country, which is the majority of individuals in our country. So that was huge. Now there's also they increased the earned income tax credit for 17 million people, and those are predominantly going to be the essential workers, the cashiers, the food preparers, the people who are working in that food supply chain, servers who've been displaced in restaurants, home health aides, etc. And that income tax credit can be as much as $1,000 once again for this year. So when you look at the $1,400 check, when you look at the child tax credits, which are in the thousands of dollars, when you look at the increased earned income tax credit, etc., we are now talking a substantial amount of money that will really make the difference in so many lives of Americans to help us get over this hump, right? There's also additional dollars for childcare. We have two issues with regards to childcare in our nation. One is that there's not enough quality childcare providers, and number two, it is still way too expensive for too many families. So seeing what was happening, they included in the American Rescue Plan dollars that would help the existing childcare providers be able to pay their bills. And not only with direct payments, but additional tax credits as well. So that's so they keep their doors open so that the quantity of quality childcare providers doesn't shrink even further, right? So we needed to keep those ones afloat. Secondly, for families who are paying for childcare, they increased the tax credits to help cover that cost to up to 15% or 50% of the expense for children under the age of 13, raising the total for one child to $4,000 or to $8,000 for two or more. Once again, really hitting, kitchen table economics here, really helping keep people in their jobs or return to their jobs by providing a safe environment for where they can place their children. It also goes ahead and provides states with an additional $1 billion to distribute for temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF, as most of you know that. So once again, if you are having an emergency situation financially, there's some dollars there that your state has that are designated specifically for families that are going through a difficult time caused by the pandemic. Nothing has highlighted the need more for health insurance than the pandemic. I think that is probably the understatement of the century here. So what they wanted to do is make sure that those who still do not have coverage are able to get coverage and make it more affordable. So the markets have been the marketplace has been reopened up, and I want to say over 100 million people have already jumped on it through the temporary opening of the marketplace by President Biden. But they've also taken steps here that could release or reduce healthcare payments for a family of four earning $90,000 by up to $200 per month and more, as well as subsidized COBRA premiums if you're only holding on to insurance through your previous employer because you lost your job. It also goes on to provide emergency grants, loans and lending for investments into small businesses. And there's really a whole nother program designed to support small businesses. And we know truly that Latinos are the backbone of America's small business. So if anybody has questions, if you're a business owner, et cetera, please feel free to reach out to us and we will link you with those resources. It also provides another $360 billion in emergency funding to states, local governments, counties, territories, and tribal governments. So this would include our United States citizens on the island of Puerto Rico and elsewhere as well. So a lot of dollars are being infused into the economy to keep everybody afloat and to make sure that we can open safely and see our economy really unleash its robustness when we do that. The American Rescue Plan also provides substantial resources for our nation's veterans. So many of the Latino population has had the great honor of serving and sacrificed to serve our great country. So it includes some rather significant investments in the Veterans Administration, $14.5 billion to upgrade some of the facilities and really to put in the IT infrastructure they need to manage this kind of pandemic. $1 billion in debt forgiveness from veterans who may be behind on their co-payments or cost sharing requirements and contracts that they signed. $750 million to upgrade state homes for vulnerable veterans during this difficult time. $386 million for veteran rapid retraining assistance. And not only are they doing this here, but we're seeing billions of dollars invested so that people can get trained in the new careers of the century. So, right. And once again, focused on our veterans, another $262 million to reduce the backlog on compensation and pension claims that are still lingering out there, $100 million to modernize the VA supply chain, and so much more. So what we're really seeing here is a comprehensive approach to leaving no one behind, to make the investments needed now so that not only do all families and all businesses make it through this difficult time, but the sooner allows for us to transition to a thriving economy where everybody benefits rather than just those few at the top. So that's just a quick briefing on the American Rescue Plan and the different benefits it has. Many of them, once again, you will not have access to unless you literally put it down on your taxes or you make the inquiry, whether it's for your small business, whether it's for your family or anyone else that you know of who may be in urgent need. If you have any questions at this time, just go ahead, click on raise your hand there. We can see it come through. And we can let you speak, or you can type it straight into the question and answer section below. Once again, just a quick topical overview of the American Rescue Plan and the benefits that you are eligible for as an American and many of our residents as well. Joe, any thoughts or anything you wanted to add on top of that?
Well, I think this is very important to our community, Darryl. When we look at small businesses in our community that were left out or felt that they were left out of the equation at the beginning of the pandemic when funding was out there, this is an opportunity this time around for small businesses to apply for the programs that are provided in this stimulus plan. But as you stated, it's important that our community members realize the benefits that are provided to please reach out to us, ask questions, don't give up. There's funding here for your family, for your kids. These child tax credits are amazing, as you've said, up to the age of 17. So many different things. And we know that the business community is going to tap into this funding. We, as a Latino community and others, need to do our part and make sure that we are benefiting from this program that's available to all of us. So thank you, President Morin. Thank you very much.
Now, well, it's all of us coming together, right, as a community,
Yes.
supporting one another that makes that difference. And Joe, I want to thank you for all the time you've spent supporting our brothers and sisters in the meatpacking industry and other areas, people who've just suffered so much of our community suffered as essential workers, that we need to make sure that they get the benefits that they earned. Right.
Yes,
And
yes.
that this isn't left on the table for others who may be less deserving to go in and get. So once again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free just to raise your hand or type it in there, or you can email us at update@forwardlatino.org or call us once again at 833-LATINO1. Once again, 833-LATINO, and that's an O, not a 0 on the end, and then the number 1. Well, Joe, that just about finishes things up for tonight. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Well, I would just encourage people to follow us on the web, follow us on Facebook. Many things are happening. We never know what's going to happen next, but this is a way for you to plug in, you all who are listening tonight, and encourage our other brothers and sisters to really follow us. We are serving our community and we want to join with you. So thank you.
Thank you all once again. Juntos podemos hacer todas las cosas que queremos. Okay, everyone, have a blessed evening. Stay healthy, get vaccinated, and we'll look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you.